Have you ever wondered how close a species can come to extinction? Sometimes a species' future depends on just a few surviving individuals. At one point, when the species was on the brink of extinction, many experts believed its future was beyond saving. But today, one of America's largest flying giants continues to soar through the skies of California. Meet the California condor. So, how did this massive creature manage to hold on to its throne in the sky, despite all the harshness of the modern world? Once you learn this, you'll understand why its story is so captivating. Now let's take a closer look at this creature. The California condor is North America's largest flying land bird. This species stands out for its massive size. The wingspan of male individuals can reach up to 10 feet. Imagine this. Even if two adults lay side by side, they wouldn't match the length of its outstretched wings. Their weight ranges from approximately 20 to 30 pounds. This might not seem like much at first glance, but it's quite an impressive weight for a bird capable of flight. Condors are among nature's most remarkable creatures from an aerodynamic perspective. Despite their large and heavy bodies, they can reach speeds of up to 55 miles per hour, and they often do this using very little energy. How? By using the sky in a way that's completely different from how most birds do. Condors catch rising thermal air currents and can gain thousands of feet in altitude thanks to these columns of rising air. Then they spread their massive wings and glide for long distances while conserving energy. That's why such a large creature can move through the air with such surprising efficiency. In fact, the California condor is not a hunter. It is a scavenger belonging to the New World vulture family. Instead of actively hunting, it feeds on the remains left behind by nature. Unlike Old World vultures, it relies more on its vision than its sense of smell. By scanning vast areas from high above, it spots dead animals from a distance and feeds on them this way. So why doesn't it have a single feather on its head? Is its bare pink and orange-toned skull merely a striking detail, or a necessary adaptation for survival? The answer lies in its feeding habits. When feeding, the condor must stick its head into large carcasses. That's why it has no feathers on its head. Otherwise, blood and bacteria could accumulate in the feathers, leading to serious infections. Its bare head makes it easier to clean and also provides a natural hygiene advantage thanks to the sun's rays. Another striking feature of this bird lies in its digestive system. Its stomach acid is one of the strongest digestive environments in nature. Many harmful bacteria and microorganisms are rendered harmless in this extremely acidic environment. This allows the condor to feed on certain decaying tissues that could pose a risk to other creatures. It is nature's scavenger, one of the ecosystem's vital cleaning agents. If condors did not exist, the accumulation of dead organic matter in nature could become a much more serious problem. What do you think about the condor's role as a scavenger? Have you ever considered how important such a role could be for the ecosystem? Unfortunately, despite taking on such a vital role for nature, condors once struggled to survive. By the late 1980s, this species, which had survived some of nature's harshest periods over millions of years, had been swept into a decline that was far quieter, but far more devastating. By 1987, the population of wild California condors had dwindled to just 22 individuals. So, what led them to this point? One of the biggest threats was lead poisoning. Interestingly, while condors could handle many harmful bacteria and decaying tissue thanks to their extremely strong stomach acids, They had no defense against the lead shot left behind by hunters in the wild. Lead poisoning caused these massive creatures to become seriously ill and eventually lose their lives. In addition, the shrinking of their habitats was a critical factor. As human settlements expanded, the condors' feeding and nesting areas were severely fragmented. This situation both reduced breeding success and made it difficult for the population to recover. Moreover, nature had not been particularly generous to them in this regard. Condors do not begin breeding until they are 6 to 8 years old, and typically lay only a single egg every 2 years. For a species that reproduces so slowly, keeping pace with successive human-caused threats was extremely difficult. At this point, scientists were forced to make an extremely difficult and controversial decision. At the time, the wild California condor population had dwindled to just 20 birds, and the species' chances of recovering on its own were rapidly diminishing. Consequently, all 22 of the remaining wild condors were captured and enrolled in a conservation program. The goal was to increase breeding rates under controlled conditions and save the species from extinction. However, this decision also carried a significant risk, because the species' future now depended entirely on this program. It was as if all the risks were being staked on a single move. If the effort had failed, we might have had to say goodbye forever to one of the sky's greatest giants. Contrary to expectations, the process gradually turned into a source of hope. Through controlled breeding programs, careful monitoring systems, and the step-by-step tracking of every individual released back into the wild, the species began to slowly recover. Today, those massive shadows glide once again through the skies of California, Arizona, and Utah. Their numbers have now surpassed 500. When we look at the bigger picture, the California condor is not just a massive bird soaring through the sky. It is a remarkable example of survival, having managed to endure despite harsh natural conditions and human impact. Its story demonstrates just how delicate yet resilient nature can be. So, after learning about this sky giant's world, its impressive wingspan, and its extraordinary adaptations, which feature did you find most fascinating? Share your thoughts in the comments. Our next stop is Washington. This time, we're not facing a predator or a massive mammal. However, with its intelligence, shape-shifting body, and almost alien-like appearance, one of the ocean's most mysterious creatures awaits us.